This is the 2024 Tesla Cybertruck. Is there anything missing? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today, Carrie and I are going to tell you all about this Cybertruck, thanks to a good friend who happens to also be the sponsor of today's video. If you live in Northwest Louisiana, it's called Gladiator Men's Health. Let's get the S's in the right place. It's all about men's health, everything from giving you a testosterone increase, helping you out to get your hair back on the top of your head, everything you can imagine related to men's health, they offer it. We'll leave a link down in the description of the video. Let's talk about what we have here. And something that I have to say you don't normally see is a lot of the time when you see a prototype of a vehicle, the actual production model doesn't look like the prototype. Well, in this case, it absolutely does. Now, one thing you'll find here that the prototype or the actual production model typically do not come with, in fact, they never do, is PPF. So you might notice that in the video. I don't know if you can even tell at any point during the video that that's here. So this does have paint protection film on it, but it is a totally triangular vehicle everywhere you look. You've got your very large daytime running light up here. Your headlights are down here, and there's actually a light bar you can buy that can illuminate up to, I believe it's 525 yards. Something that's very interesting here. You'll notice that you have one singular windshield wiper. If we measure from right here to the top, it's 62 inches in length. If we measure the wiper portion just by itself, it's 48 inches. That is the biggest wiper I've ever seen. Eat your heart out, GMC Hummers that have 3 wipers. They do it with 1 right here. I feel like almost if I was a kid, I'd want to kind of build a ramp or something like that where I could just ramp my bike right over the top. You could do that. That would be interesting. And all-wheel drive. Let me step out of the way here so you can kind of see how all of that works. I have the front wheels turned, and you can see that the back wheels are turned as well. When I was a kid growing up, I loved to watch monster trucks, and they had 4-wheel steering, just like we have here with this model. Never would have thought we'd have vehicles you could buy this easily and have something like that on there. Power folding side view mirrors. They're power adjustable, as you can imagine. And I know there's a lot of stuff on here, but the people who own this model, my friends, they live way out in the middle of nowhere, so they deal with a lot of bugs and things like that. It's just part of the game. But I like how with the mirrors folded, it kind of accentuates the triangle here, and then you can see how that matches the roof line. Very interesting how that works. Now, what about our tire and wheel size? Let's talk about that real quick. 285 is going to be the width. A lot of meat on the ground. 65 series sidewall. Now in this particular case we have the 20-inch wheels. You can have 22-inch wheels, and the covers, which I don't know if he got those or not. I'm assuming he did. That's probably a standard feature, but obviously not on here right now. Actually, I think the wheels look better without those covers. Now, one thing that's very interesting here is basically what your key would be. It's a card. Nothing new for Tesla, but just something that's very interesting. To get into the vehicle, you just push right there, or touch. Now, I am kind of surprised that unlike some of the other Tesla models out there, that these doors don't have motors on them to actually help open and close them, but they don't. Not necessarily a big deal. Now here you can kind of see some of the difference in the fact that you have that nice thick PPF right there, because obviously that doesn't need to be on the inside of the doors, the interior of the doors, but that's what you have. A very interesting setup, that's for sure. And those doors are pretty easy to work with because they're heavy enough to where you don't have to really slam them very hard. I like that. And obviously back here you've got a feature that's going to come standard on here. It's going to be the tonneau cover. And we'll try and get you some interior noise in just a little bit of what it sounds like. But I'm going to open that. We just push the button right there. That opens up. And you can see that you even have some lighting inside of here. That's going to be nice. You have your tie-down points. But something that's very interesting, you have a power-down tailgate, but it doesn't power up. Kind of wondering what happened there. That's very interesting. Not that it's difficult or anything to deal with, it's very light. The other thing that is a little bit of a surprise to me here is that you do have the in-bed trunk right here. just like a Honda Ridgeline has. Now, I wonder if people are going to start saying the Cybertruck isn't really a truck like they do about the Ridgeline. But the problem here is that unlike the Ridgeline, you can't swing the tailgate open this way. You don't have a basically a multi-stage opening or multi-position opening tailgate. So you have to reach way down in here to get to that, or you have to hop up on the tailgate to get to anything in there. Now, this is very nice because it does have the ability to partition things off, as you can see right here. So plenty of storage in there, that's always a good thing. And also some more tie downs and all that stuff here. I'm gonna open up the panel right there and let Carrie show you some of the connectivity options that you have built into the truck. And you can power just about anything you want to. That's a really cool thing, how that works. And then we also have the tie downs in multiple places here. So quite a bit going on with that. Now, let me do one thing here. I'm going to go ahead and close the tailgate, and just as is the case, in fact, I don't even know if I closed that all the way. Let's make sure I did. There we go. I think that can handle being slammed like a real truck. Now we'll close that. You'll notice the window goes up, all that stuff, and down comes the tonneau cover. Now, if you're wondering about the charge port, well, that's actually very easy to find. Well, maybe. Right there, you just touch that, basically that opens up. There's your charge port. Pretty interesting how that's concealed away. Now, we'll just go ahead and just close that. And one thing I forgot to show here on the front end, you don't have cameras that are built into the mirrors the way you normally would on most trucks. You have them right here in the front fenders. So there's one on each side. There's cameras all over the Cybertruck. And what's very interesting is we'll also have cameras on each side right here. But what's very interesting, my daily driver is a 2024 GMC 2500, not a small truck. And it took some getting used to driving this truck. Towing comes in at 11,000 pounds, and you're looking at a payload of 2,500 pounds. The wheelbase on this truck is 143 inches. That's pretty long. Now, one thing that's very interesting here is you might want to be careful when you're walking around your Tesla Cybertruck because it's sharp. Not only sharp looking, but it's just literally sharp. There's sharp edges in a few different areas. And so that's very interesting to see. And what's even more interesting is that literally everything is controlled from the screen in the interior. Now I want to show you how to open the front trunk or the frunk. So what I'm going to do is just come to this area right here. And notice it says open. And Carrie can show you from right here that it is indeed opening. Okay, I also wanted to show you how everything looks when we open the front trunk from the outside. And I tell you what, it almost looks like it wants to swallow Carrie up. It's out there when it opens up. It's almost like a giant monster opening its mouth. And you have 7.1 cubic feet of cargo capacity here. You've got your Cybertruck logo there, kind of interesting. And a lot of people use this as kind of a multitasker because you can sit in here and you have your shade. Thankfully, we have a little bit of shade with the clouds right here right now. That's actually really nice on a very hot day here in Northwest Louisiana. And to not make my day any more difficult, I'm not going to do the finger test that some people have so bright-mindedly done. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's actually a sensor here. If there's something in the way, it will actually stop the frunk from closing all the way and it will open back up. But it's not made for your finger to be there. I don't care how big your finger is. And can you imagine with that sharp edge right there, what that could do? You know, that might hurt just a little bit, but you know what? I'm just gonna take everyone else's word for it. And we'll give you a quick look at the suspension and shocks and everything. This does have air ride suspension, so shouldn't be a big surprise. That's gonna help in a multitude of ways, not only with good ride quality, but also with quickly raising and lowering the vehicle. Now, there are multiple ways to do that, multiple settings for the height, I should say. And so what will happen is I'll hop here into the interior and we will go and we'll show you all how to do this in just a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower it, let you listen. Hopefully you can hear that air being let out of the air suspension, and you can see the difference in the ride height compared to where it was. And there are a few different ride height selections, but you can definitely tell a big difference now. All right, let's talk about what your rear seat passengers will find. The one thing I'm always disappointed about with Tesla is the build quality. You do have some cheap materials. Now, some people might be cool with that, but for the price point, you can get well over $100,000 with these. They start around $99,000. You should have better materials than this. At least that's my opinion. But one thing I can say that I like here is not only do you have a nice large armrest built into the door panel here, but it's completely flat. The front portion doesn't have an angle built into it, so that is just more of a natural position. You also have the armrest up here where the window is, so a lot more space right there. Now, one thing that might be a question, what do you do if the battery dies and you're stuck inside? Inside of the nice large door bin right here is a panel. You can remove a cover off of that and you're going to see a yellow pull cord in there. What that does is at all four doors you can pull that cord and it will allow for the vehicle to open the doors manually instead of opening them with the power features. So you have quite a bit going on where that's concerned. I like that. That's a good thing. Makes life nice and easy. And we do have a fold down armrest built in right here with the cup holders. So that's nice to have. You also have the ability to pull that headrest up if you want to. I really would like to see more automakers stop using these parallel cup holders, because if they were vertical like this, then you could still use the armrest as an armrest when there's a cup in each side. And I'll let Carrie go ahead and hop on inside and we'll go over a few things that you're going to find here. A very nice large glass roof. I wouldn't even call that panoramic. It's bigger than that. But what's interesting, you can see the sun's come out from behind the clouds, but it's still not a big deal. You got that tent up there that's helping out a lot. Now we do have our air conditioning right here. We'll move that around a little bit so it's blowing on everybody and keep us nice and cool. So you have that, you have the ability to know what's going on with that. And if you wanted to watch a Vehicle Visionary video on YouTube, you can, right there. Pretty cool how you can do all of these things. This is just one of those hunt and peck method sort of things. Depending on what you want to do, you can control all. And you might have noticed that last scene cut off on us just a little bit, so we're going to try and pick back up where we were on the screen right here. Really, we've pretty much shown you everything. That is a 9-inch screen. And for those of you who don't like the 9-inch touchscreen in the front seat of the Honda Pilot, you might like it back here more. I don't know. But that's what we have. Now, you do have some conventional things here as far as having the rear seat pockets. That's fine. Okay, let's talk about what you'll find here in the main area of attraction, the front seat. Now, when we look at the doors over there, the door bin, the door panel, everything pretty much the same as what we saw in the rear. Plenty of space. Obviously, power seats for the driver and the passenger, which actually you do control on the seats themselves. So that's a good thing. It does have lumbar support. And when you look at the seats, they look like they should be in the Tesla Cybertruck. Just the way it looks, the headrest and everything. There is plenty of bolstering here. And I will tell you one thing, driving this Cybertruck is a bit of an adjustment. Not only because of its size, as I mentioned earlier in the video, but just its handling characteristics. And so it's really interesting. We'll show you some of this when we get out on the road later on, but let you see what's here. Plenty of room, plenty of space. You have a very large area right here for space as well. And something that I think should be more common in more vehicles is that you have 2 wireless charging pads right here. So you've got one there. That would be, I think, a little more obvious, but let me put my phone on this side so you can see that come on. There you go. The steering wheel itself is very interesting because of the fact that it's just so strange to hold it. It's not bad, but it just takes some getting used to. That's one of the tricks with it. As some of the features here as far as operating the truck, your shifter is actually right here in this area. Again, just takes some getting used to as far as all of that goes. You can operate everything from the screen. If I wanted to open the rear of the tonneau cover back here, well, here's what we do right there. And listen. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it sounds like a train on train tracks. We'll go ahead and close that. There we go. And you can see everything happening on the screen. Now, I could also open the tailgate if I wanted to from here, but I'm not going to worry about that. And you do literally control everything here from the screen. In fact, you can control the ride height. I can change the ride height. Probably won't be able to hear that so well as you can see it on the screen. You can go from high to low to medium. You can even go to entry if you want to, but you can see on the screen that the truck itself is actually lowering. A pretty cool thing. I really like the way that works. You can go and see everything around the truck that you need to. Pretty easy to deal with.
Oh my God.
I guess I just angered Elon Musk right there. For those of you who didn't know about that, that's what happens. Just one of those very interesting things. I think the truck will also fart if you want it to. I don't know for sure, but some of the Teslas do that. So very interesting. So if it happens, I'm going to blame Kerry. I'm just going to say he stepped on a duck. Now, what else do we have right here? Let's go right here, and you can see everything that you control right here. I mean, everything from dynamics. Let's go to that and see what we have. You have all of your different driving modes right here. Standard, you've got your off-road, custom, you have everything right here. That's what I like right there, beast mode. And I'm going to tell you what, it is something to get used to. And let's see, towing and hauling. There's what we have right there. Not as fancy as I expected it to be, but that's what we have. How about charging? Well, it tells us that we've only used a small percentage of what we had. I think we were at 82% when we started, so I haven't really used up too much yet. And I'm not going to look at everything here, but just to show you some of the different features and functionality here. There's how you control your lighting. If you want to, with your headlights, you can see up there that you can turn them to auto, to on, whatever you want to with that. And you also have accent lighting and your dome lights down there as well, which is very interesting in how that works. Here is the dome light up here. In fact, all you do is just swipe your finger across, and that's how you turn it on and off. Or you can even do it down here if you wanted to. It's really pretty interesting. Display, there you go. I mean, literally everything you need. For those of you who like to have navigation, you've got navigation. Obviously, you can pair your smartphone and do all of those things. And if I want to lower the temperature, I can do that right there. Pretty easy to deal with, but for those who are curious, you also have, like I said earlier in the video, a ton of camera views all over the place. But the thing that I like here is that you can see multiple camera views at one time. Not that unusual, and I know in my truck I could have 2 views at once, but not 3 views at once. So we've got our left and our right. We've got our front camera right there. We can use the front camera washer if you want to. I think if I hold that down, yep, it will do that. So you have the front camera up there and the front camera washer. There is just so much here. The hunt and peck method will do you very well, depending on what you want to see and what you want to do. Very easy to deal with as far as that goes. And the graphics are very bright, very vibrant. I really like that. That's always a good thing, always a win. Just figure out what you need to see and work your way around wherever you need to go. Everything is here. Now, there is one thing that's interesting in that the shifter is right here. So if I want to go into drive and do all the stuff that needs to be done with that, I can do that right here. But if the screen goes out, there's a backup right up here. I don't have that on right there. There's also your hazard light button. It's not a button, I guess, is it? But that's how you turn your hazard lights on and off. Now, as far as the shifter goes, here's something that's interesting. You can't do anything with it like this. You have to put your foot on the brake, but here's the thing. I'm pushing the brake. Got to push it a little harder. Make sure you push it hard enough to where you can go into drive, you can go into reverse, you can do all the things you need to do. It's very interesting how this works. You can see how the Cybertruck changes positions depending on what you're doing. There's how we go into park. Now, I'm going to let Carrie show you something. First, I'm going to show you, I'm going to push right here on the screen here in just a second. And what's going to happen when I do that is it's going to unfold the mirrors for me. So like I talked about earlier, you have those power folding side view mirrors. There's a lot there. And typical things, cup holders right here. You have a nice large armrest, so that's nice to have. The center console lid doubling as an armrest. And then you have your space within this area as well. There is some USB connectivity here in this area. Quite a bit going on where all of this is concerned. Let's see if I can get that to stay in place. There we go. And now for the really interesting part, the test drive. What's interesting here is, check this out. That's full lock to the right. That is full lock to the left. And you can see that on the screen right there. You don't turn the steering wheel as far as you might expect. It's almost sports car-like, high-performance race car-like. In fact, there are a few other things here on the steering wheel. Let me grab the camera from Carrie real quick that I can show you here. You'll notice you don't have any levers on the steering column whatsoever. Everything's here. There is your left turn signal, your right turn signal, and when you turn those on, the camera's on the side of the vehicle. Not even in the mirrors, but that's what you're going to have. And then you just push those again to turn them off. You also can control the functionality of your lighting right here as well. So if you want to change that, you can. Easy to deal with, no big deal. So that's what the steering wheel has. You also have your volume and everything here. Pretty easy to figure out, pretty easy to deal with. You control your windshield wiper here, windshield wiper, because there's one. And you also have something that's almost kind of like the old school vent window. It's not really a vent, but it almost looks like that right there on both sides of this very large windshield. There is your rear view mirror. And I'm going to let Carrie have the camera back here because I want to show you one more thing that is very interesting. Now, it looks like you don't have a very large visor, but you do have this area to flip down right here. I like that. It totally covers everything. So if you've got sun on the side of the vehicle, no big deal. And what's really cool is when you put it back in place, it basically just finds its way into position. See that? I like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. We're gonna hop out here on the road for our test drive. And this is where you kind of have to be careful. That's 80 miles an hour right there. That got Carrie's attention.
Let's go to LSU.
And that's the hospital for those of you who don't know. Now I'm gonna slow down a little bit up here for obvious reasons because you never know when people might turn in front of you at these intersections. But I tell you what, it definitely takes some getting used to as far as the way it handles. But if you're in some really tight spaces with such a large vehicle, well, it's definitely really nice to have because of the fact that you have the all-wheel steering, front and rear steering. It's just really nice. Now, here's something interesting. I just want you to listen. You think that's pretty quiet for this road?
Very quiet.
It's actually surprisingly quiet for this road because it's so rough. Normally, if you watch me regularly and you've seen my videos, you know what I'm talking about. This road is very washboarded out. It's very interesting how well the Cybertruck is soaking up the bumps. It's really not bad at all. You can barely notice.
It's not annoying quiet like some electric cars are so quiet that it's annoying. This is a combination of quiet and you can still hear it.
Yeah, that's...
And it's not overly quiet.
That's
air conditioned seats are, oh my gosh. These air conditioned seats are marvelous.
We're at 101 degrees today, so, wow, we're doing 78 miles an hour. It doesn't feel like it, but that's part of driving such a large vehicle. The speed limit in this area is 65, so I probably need to slow down a little bit. But, wow. Let's see what happens from 60 miles an hour. We'll do a 60 roll. Probably didn't get a good punch in the gut right there.
Yes, you did.
Well, I didn't. Carrie did. Wow. Once you get used to the steering and the handling characteristics, it's not a big deal. The one thing that's very interesting for me, and I know it's just the way it is with any vehicle when it has something you're not used to, once you drive it for a little while, you get used to it. But I find myself wanting to reach over here for the turn signal lever, but it's not there. So that's an interesting thing to have. But the good thing is you can see the view when I turn the turn signals on of what we actually see. Now, I was planning on having this car actually turn, but they didn't. I have a way to deal with that.
Fighter pilot training.
Oh my goodness.
Fighter pilot training vehicle.
That is so cool. course, I'm sure from the passenger seat. And for those of you who are saying, Tom, why don't you let Kerry drive? Why don't you tell him?
I'm having fun in the passenger seat.
He had the option to drive, and he is going to drive when we get to a certain place down the road here. We're going to let him drive us back to the house where we borrowed it from, where our friends live. But he wanted me to do the test drive. All I can tell you is it is a blast to drive. Now, one pedal driving is on, and it actually works very well, even from higher speeds as far as stopping. You can still use the brake pedal, so it's not a problem in case you were curious about that. For those who maybe are just now learning about some of these EV vehicles out here, that does still work. And the brake lights do come on. It's kind of neat that we were able to see that. As far as on the screen, we could see that the brake lights were coming on. Boy, I tell you what, there's definitely a lot going on here, and we literally just scratched the surface as far as the features and functionality go. Okay, tell me what you think about the Cybertruck. Is there anything missing? It's definitely one of the most novelty style vehicles you'll find out there. For those of you who don't like something that looks like everything else out there, such as say the Nissan Pathfinder and the Honda Pilot that look so similar to each other among so many other vehicles, you don't have that going on here with the Cybertruck. So tell me what you think. And don't forget about our sponsor. Check out that link down in the description of the video for those of you who live in and around the Northwest Louisiana area. Definitely want to check that out, especially for those of you who are mid-age. No offense, it's just the way it is. They can help you out. So I do want to say a special thanks to our friends who own this truck. Thank you very much for loaning it to us for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give us the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. If you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and we'll see you there.